been experiencing this relatively weird phenomenon lately. Well, call it lately. It's like over the past couple of days, my brain chemistry has changed in some noticeable way that I can't quite put my finger on, and yet everything feels different while also still being the same. So I find myself contemplating things, looking for meaning, belonging, purpose in places where I don't think they necessarily actually belong. But it's one of those weird things where every now and again I feel the need to touch ground so that I can attempt to retain the traces of what would typically call your sanity. I don't have anyone to really rely on these days. I don't have a close compatriot who knows me well enough to properly ground me these days. So, in an effort to more fully understand myself, I've been experimenting. But in so doing, I may be killing off parts of who I used to be. Now, this could be a good thing and also a bad thing, but I guess you could just simply see it as growth for what it is. It's something where you can't really... It's hard to define good and bad or other in scenarios such as this. It's hard to say that any one thing is any one thing. I've been trying to adopt a more neutral approach to the world. I've been trying to more or less find an intermediary in life, an in-between force between the extremes, the golden mean, as it were. And yet, in so doing, I have strayed from one part of who I was, and yet gone closer to another part of who I was, and end up as a different person altogether from either of them. It's really hard to establish what I mean, but I've also had recurring dreams about parallel versions of realities and being able to see the differences between them and more closely attuned to one or the other. And I feel like it might be some sort of parallel to this understanding of reality that I have as it is now, where reality is largely what you make it. Your perception is your reality, and how you approach the world shapes it, and in its own way. I don't really know what I'm trying to get at, but I want there to be something left behind. Something useful. Something that people will be able to say that I was a not nothing. Something that I want to be able to be something that people remember fondly. And in so doing, I need to then find people who can know me closely. And typically, I find that I can identify the types of person who would be able to be that close with me on this weird basis that doesn't make any sense to me, but it's something that I can physically feel, but I can hardly describe. And I'm hoping to try an experiment to prove that wrong. Because if I can prove that wrong, then I can assume closeness with more people than I had originally thought. And that means that I'm never going to have to be alone again.